promoting a healthy environment. It's the air we breathe. Clean, safe water. Responsible management of our natural resources. We protect and restore for a sustainable future. Environment matters.
More problems at Freedom Industries after heavy rains caused stormwater from the site to overflow into the Elk River, prompting the change of the contractor hired to do the site remediation. Plus,
this is an indication of how cities and states and neighborhoods can work together to be able to make sure that something happens that is good for the community.
In less than 2 years, the Wild Ramp has helped local farmers and food producers to the tune of $400,000. Not a bad return on investment from what started with the help of a $5,000 DEP mini grant. We'll check out the grand opening of the Wild Ramp's new, larger West Huntington location. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Environment Matters. I'm Greg Adolphson with the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection. On 2 consecutive days earlier this month, Freedom Industries failed to prevent a stormwater collection trench from overflowing, causing runoff from the site to spill into the Elk River. The DEP issued a total of 3 notices of violation to Freedom Industries, and Cabinet Secretary Randy Huffman called for the site's environmental contractor, civil and environmental consultants out of Pennsylvania, to be removed. On June 18th, the bankruptcy court appointed restructuring team overseeing Freedom Industries announced it would transition to a different contractor. On June 12th, a DEP inspector on site noticed water overflowing from a containment trench and manually restarted a sump pump, which stopped the overflow. It was later determined by DEP investigators that a float level designed to trip the pump on was improperly set. During the June 13th incident, the sump pump was working but apparently could not keep up with the heavy flow of rainwater. A backup pump was activated and brought the overflow under control after about 50 minutes. The containment trenches are designed to catch rainwater and groundwater running across polluted soil at the site and keep it from seeping into the river. Following the 2 overflow events, corrective measures were put in place to prevent a reoccurrence. They include raising the berm along the low spots in the trench, including the spot where the overflows took place, the installation of an additional backup pump for a total of 3 pumps along the trench, and implementing 24/7 monitoring of the site. Water samples tested at the site and downstream at West Virginia American Water's Charleston Treatment Plant showed non-detect levels of the chemical MCHM. On January 9th, an above-ground storage tank at the site leaked an estimated 10,000 gallons of crude MCHM, a chemical used in the coal preparation process, to spill into the Elk River. The spill contaminated the drinking water for roughly 300,000 area residents for several days. Demolition and removal of the steel tanks from the site is expected to begin later this summer and is projected to take 2 to 4 weeks to complete. Contractors have already torn down 6 fiberglass tanks. Once the tanks have been removed, the site will be analyzed to determine the extent of soil and groundwater contamination, so remediation work can begin. Governor Tomlin ordered all the tanks and related equipment at the site dismantled and removed following the spill. The DEP has opened the registration period for above-ground storage tank owners to submit their information required for a statewide inventory. The Aboveground Storage Tank Act, passed by the state legislature and signed into law by the governor earlier this spring, went into effect June 6th. The law applies to all above-ground storage tanks in the state that hold at least 1,320 gallons of fluid, are in one place for more than 60 days, and are 90% or more above ground. Tanks defined as process vessels, sewage treatment tanks for example, are exempt from the law. The DEP actually opened the registration process 1 month early to give tank owners more time to comply with the law. Tanks must be registered with the DEP by October 1st. A mystery substance spotted floating in the New River earlier this month is believed to be algae. This picture was taken from the Fayette Station Bridge. If you look next to the rocks, you may be able to see a rust-colored sheen on the water. Inspectors from the DEP collected water samples for testing. When viewed under the microscope, the samples were all found to contain the same type of natural organic material. John Wirtz, Deputy Director of the Watershed Branch of the DEP's Division of Water and Waste Management, says, since the Freedom Industries spill, people seem to be more vigilant.
I do think people are paying much more close attention to the way the water looks, and then reporting on it at a higher level too. In this case, I think environmental enforcement folks and inspectors were out pretty much as soon as they got the call, looking to see if there was any evidence of a spill, trying to track a source down if there was a single source. It didn't appear in this case that there was. So yeah, lots of calls go on amongst the different groups, trying to figure out if they know something at the wastewater plant or if the coal facility knows something. And then in our case, we just have the microscopes here, so we had the ability to at least look at the sample in that way.
Samples were sent to an outside lab to confirm our results.
The DEP has issued fines to a coal prep plant in Kanawha County following a slurry spill in February. Patriot Coal Corporation's Kanawha Eagle plant will pay more than $72,000 in penalties resulting from the February 11 spill near Winifred. A malfunction in the slurry pipeline at the plant dumped a company-estimated 108,000 gallons of slurry into Fields Creek, a tributary of the Kanawha River. The spill impacted roughly 6 miles of stream.
Every year, the DEP recognizes the efforts of state industries, municipalities, educators, and community leaders who strive to protect the environment, work to be good corporate neighbors, and to educate the citizens of the state by sharing the DEP's mission of promoting a healthy environment.
This year, 21 awards of environmental excellence were presented at a ceremony here at DEP headquarters in Charleston. Industrial facilities are nominated by DEP inspectors who work to ensure their compliance with state environmental laws. Other environmental award winners were nominated by DEP personnel who work with volunteer and other community-based efforts. DEP Cabinet Secretary Randy Huffman presented the awards, thanking the recipients and urging them to keep up the good work.
As we do things to improve our world, the things that need to be done are going to change, and we need to be able to change and adapt with it. 25 years ago, we were all focused on waste tires and litter over the hillside, and now we're interested in a lot more things, and there are a lot more things that we have to do. So I encourage you to keep that up. And it really comes down to being about the concept of sustainability. Ask yourself the question, in whatever endeavor you undertake, can you do this? Whatever you're doing today, can it be done 100 years from now? Can it be done 500 years from now? You know, in this country, we went through an industrial revolution where we used our resources as though they were unlimited, and we polluted our environment as though we were never going to have to live in it. And neither one of those things are true. We learned a lot this winter with the water crisis that we had here in Charleston about just how precious water is, how valuable it is, and how close to chaos things can be whenever people don't have it. And so in all that you do, remember that whatever your goal, you're not going to get there by cleaning up trash, by improving the water, by improving the air, but it still has to be done. It's a journey that will take your lifetime and your children's lifetime, and it will go on, because there are a lot of people on this planet, and we're going to be here for a while, so we have to manage it accordingly.
One group recognized for their environmental stewardship was the Raleigh County Solid Waste Authority's Recycling and Education Center. The DEP's Alec New has this profile.
Protecting tomorrow, today, is the motto of the Raleigh County Solid Waste Authority. In addition to being a state-of-the-art recycling center, the facility features an impressive education center featuring theater-style seating for up to 100 children at a time. That hands-on approach has helped create a successful county-wide recycling program.
I think our main buy-in from the community comes from our educators being out in the community, going into schools, garden clubs. We open our facility for any club or organization to come and use it and to tour it. And the tours and going into the schools really piques the interest of not only the kids, but the kids take it home to their parents.
Taking the tour today, a group of preschoolers from Shady Spring.
What's going to be in that hole in the ground someday? Trash. That's what, if we recycle more, we won't fill up the landfill.
Sherry Hunter is the Director of Education for the Raleigh County Solid Waste Authority and Chief Tour Guide for this busload of 4- and 5-year-olds. With her help, the county's school system established a recycling program that has grown from 11 schools in 2001 to more than 30 schools today. The bottom line, as of last year, more than 3,700 tons of recycling, earning participating schools nearly $170,000, turning trash into cash for school programs that otherwise would have had to find funding elsewhere. And just one reason for this year's Environmental Excellence Award.
We were thrilled. We were really thrilled. We've worked really hard here at the Raleigh County Solid Waste Authority to make sure not only recycling, but the whole facility is top-notch. And it makes us really proud that we were recognized for that work.
In Beckley, I'm Alec New for Environment Matters.
For a complete list of the winners, you can check out the news section of our website, dep.wv.gov. The DEP's Division of Land Restoration has been awarded a $200,000 grant from the US EPA to help deal with the problem of brownfields. The Brownfields Petroleum Assistant Grant will fund site assessments of properties that may have been contaminated by petroleum-based pollutants. The DEP conducts site assessments across the state, but the grant will focus primarily on 8 areas in Nicholas, Fayette, and Raleigh counties. The agency coordinates with the West Virginia Brownfields Assistance Centers at WVU and Marshall University on brownfield projects and redevelopment efforts. The center also helps develop grant proposals for the DEP and other West Virginia communities. The EPA also awarded brownfields funding to the Wayne County Economic Development Authority, the City of Morgantown, the City of Thomas and Tucker County, and the Wyoming County Economic Development Authority. The West Virginia Brownfields Assistance Center will hold its annual conference this September in Huntington. Coming up,
kids make connections and they have Facebook pages and they talk about it and they ask each other, are you coming back this year?
a summer tradition, Junior Conservation Camp. How one of the youth environmental program's most popular events continues to attract fame year after year. Plus, Going Green, Marshall Green that is. The Thundering Herd pays a visit to DEP headquarters for a preview at this fall's upcoming football season. Those stories and more when Environment Matters continue.